Hey everyone, coming up in today's video, I just want to talk about my experience working with an assistant. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. So on Saturday's wedding, I had an assistant, Henry, with me. So the week before, I was at the Swansea wedding fair, and I got approached by another supplier who I see at all the wedding fairs that I go to. They sell wedding rings, so they're not even sort of videography or photography. And the guy mentioned he's got a friend's son who has been doing photography and wants to sort of get into weddings and more on the video side. So he was just looking for a bit of experience. So I gave him my business card. I said, great, yeah, get him to contact me. I've got a wedding next week. I'll try and get him onto that. So yeah, Henry contacted me. I said I've got to check with the bride first, obviously. Try and get some food sorted out for the day as well. So bride was well up for it. She was a good bride actually to be working for. So Henry came along, and I just want to share sort of my experiences. So I did tell Henry I've got a YouTube channel. So Henry, if you're watching, I hope you like this video. So we did get off to a little bit of a rough start, but wasn't a problem whatsoever. So this particular wedding, a little bit different, where it was a church wedding. Well, that's not different at all. So it's a church wedding. Then the reception was back at her farm, which was about 2 minutes from the church. But the bride prep was at her mum's farm, which was about 15 minutes away from the church. So as I've never met Henry before, we thought we would meet at the church first, where I can sort of get the external shots, get some drone shots, before sort of rushing from bride prep back to the church. When all guests are there as well. So I like to sort of get the drone shots and establishing shots when there's no guests around. So I thought, perfect, meeting there about 8:30 in the morning. So it was going to be a long day. And Henry was just coming along for, the experience. I wasn't paying him. It's not my platinum package where I have a second shooter. Literally, Henry was just coming on for a bit of experience, and he knew that from the get-go. So he was actually running a bit late, was struggling to find the church. So in the end, but he was phoning me the whole time, so he didn't make the church where I had the drone out and stuff like that, which I wanted to show him because he has a drone. He doesn't have his drone license yet, so I wanted to talk with him about drone licensing and what I do with my drone, like working on the day. So literally sharing my experience, which is what it was there for. So the church, believe it or not, was probably one of the easiest places to find, because her farm and her mum's farm, their postcodes don't come up when you put in the postcode. It comes up in a random field sort of half a mile down the road. So I did tell him that about the mum's address to get to bride prep. But anyway, he made it there about 15 minutes after me, so it wasn't too bad. Worked with a fantastic photographer, and the photographer said to me, made it quite a good point, where he said he said not a lot of people would do this, and I thought he meant Henry working as an assistant for free for 12, 13 hours. So I said, yeah, I know it's a long day for him, but he'll get a good experience. He said, no, it's you. He said, not a lot of people would take on an assistant, have them working with you without meeting them, without seeing their work, which I thought, right, fair point, but I'm not, in most circumstances, I'm not relying on Henry. Well, I'm not relying on Henry's footage whatsoever. I was getting all the bride prep stuff with my camera. It's not as if I was having my second shooter where I rely on them to go to groom prep first of all, and they're getting those shots and then stuff like that. I was still filming with my camera, so if anything happened to his camera, it's not a problem. I'm not relying on that. It's still me filming on my own camera. So so I didn't have a problem. And the photographer then said, "Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a nice thing to do." Which I thought, like some people out there need to get experience. And I did tell Henry that the footage ownership is still on me for the footage. It's my client, but you can use your footage to put together in a show reel. You can't make your own highlights video from it, or even sell it back to the customer, which I've heard some second shooters have done previously. And he's not there to sell his. If he's chatting to guests, he's not there to say, "Oh yeah, I do wedding videography." It's if there's any business, it comes to me. So you've got to make sort of those rules quite clear. But you can use it to put in a show reel, which I have not got a problem with. He's filmed a couple of like cousins' weddings as well, so he's got now a couple of weddings that he can put together a nice little show reel. And also he's going to come hopefully on some of my next weddings that I've got sort of coming up in November. I know it's a little bit time away, but they're the next weddings I've got, so he'll try and come on to those. And from it for him is in February I've got a second shooter gig, which I've double checked Henry's footage and stuff, but I would like him to be the second shooter on those. So it's all about, it's happened, it's a bit of networking for both of us. You can make good money just being a second shooter. It's a lot easier. You don't have to go out and get the work, get the clients, do all the editing afterwards. But yeah, so having Henry there was great. It was, even another person to talk to. He was getting quite creative with some ideas, but I was giving him tips on, because it's not only, he turned up with a camera and a GorillaPod. So I told him, you're going to have to get, he was loving my monopods. I was sort of showing him the gear I use. I sort of show him now my style. I pretty much now go monopod, handheld. The only time I use my glide cam is the confetti shots and walking down the aisle. All the other stuff I go handheld, and I've got a video coming out soon where I sort of film. I'll show you the couple's photo shoot, and that is all handheld. So I'll give you some great tips there. So I was just teaching him all aspects of the wedding day, and especially audio. So I did tell him, when he comes to, if you're going to second shoot for people, you might want to bring some audio gear and a tripod, because at groom prep, if there's any letters being read or anything like that, especially the wedding I have in February, that's what they want to do. He needs to make sure he's got a decent handheld mic, a bit like the Zoom H5 that he can put near the groom, which I told him try and get it the close as you can to the source, which is obviously the groom's mouth, without it being in shots. And then, we should have some nice clean audio there. He ran out of, I had to lend him a memory card, an SD card. His batteries ran low, and luckily he bought like half a charger. So I had I had some spare cables that managed to fit his chargers, because I run on Canon. He had a Sony. So I've got some. What I need to make sure next is when I'm editing, he was shooting in a flat profile, which you may have seen one of my videos talking about that. So hopefully my color grading I can match quite nicely. So he learned a lot about how long his camera actually lasts filming, SD cards, and then he charged one of his batteries and then ran out again. I thought he had another battery, but he forgot to put that one on charge. So he ended up using my spare camera, my B-cam camera, the one just behind me there, for sort of some evening stuff as well. So I think he learned a lot from it, which sometimes I think it's just with experience, that is, I just bring all this stuff like spare batteries, chargers. I know how long I've got one Canon C, for my Canon C200, I've got one battery that came standard that lasts me sort of from bride prep all the way up to the ceremony, and then I've got the bigger battery that literally lasts me from the ceremony for the rest of the day. But I do always put the other battery on charge, just in case, because you never want to be like, especially like if it comes to speeches, you're in the middle of a speech, it's got 5 minutes left, so you need to, I was telling him about, I made sure he had his new SD card before the speeches started, because they're saying you don't want 5 minutes left on your SD cards, and then you're going for like potentially a 10-second gap changing over SD cards in the speeches, which the client's paying for. So just to sort of sum up here, it was nice having an assistant on the day. It's great to share some of like my experience firsthand, and a bit of networking. Hopefully he comes on my next couple of weddings I've got this year. So the February wedding, he's ready to sort of second shoot. And again, in my platinum package, it's quite a bit more expensive than the package below. So I've got a few now next year with the second shooter. So hopefully Henry might build himself up sort of at the lower end prices of second shooting, and then throughout the year I can then pay him a little bit more when his experience gets a little bit better, which should be great. It was nice, like I said, it was nice having him there, working with someone. So I can't hardly recommend, if you were thinking of if you're out there, if you're a bit of a seasoned pro, and there's some young person that sort of wants to get into it, hire them out. Or if you are in South Wales and you want to come and assist with me, I've got no problem with that. Like I said, it's not paid. You're there to get your experience, but it can lead to me hiring you as a second shooter. So if you do, just leave a comment below or just message me to get in contact. So like I said at the beginning of this video, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I've got loads more coming out. Every Monday I'm now releasing one video. So yeah, so please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.